You're watching World News Program. I'm your host Miriam Zian, and these are the headlines. In developments regarding the truce between the United States and Iran, Trump stressed that a breakthrough is going to be reached through an agreement or military action, while Iran threatened to open new fronts if Washington resumed its attacks and confirmed that its new peace proposal includes ending the war and paying compensation. In Lebanon, martyrs and wounded are reported in a new Zionist bombing of southern villages and towns. Hezbollah announces targeting vital military sites of the occupation, including an Iron Dome platform. In Algerian African Cooperation, President Tebboune receives a phone call from his Chadian counterpart, Déby, and receives the Minister of State and Minister of the Interior of the Republic of Niger. Algeria and Niamey review the positive progress made in strengthening cooperation. Hello there and welcome back to the details of your nightly news. And first in our file, U.S. President Donald Trump said Monday that he had paused the planned Tuesday attack after requests from Gulf leaders, adding that serious negotiations are underway with Iran. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the U.S. is ready to launch a large-scale attack on Iran at any moment if no acceptable deal is reached, stressing that any agreement must prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons.
Serious negotiations are now taking place, and that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made, which will be very acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all countries in the Middle East and beyond. We will not be doing the scheduled attack of Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full large-scale assault of Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached.
President Donald Trump said Monday there is a very good chance the U.S. could reach a deal with Iran to stop it from obtaining nuclear weapons, hours after delaying a planned military strike to allow talks to continue. Trump told reporters that key U.S. allies in the Middle East had urged him to postpone Tuesday's attack on Iran. He warned, however, that the U.S. remains ready to launch a major strike if no agreement is reached.
Pretty much getting close to making a deal, and didn't work out. 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal. And if we can do that, where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also.
Trump reiterated on the occasion that the U.S. will not allow Iran to obtain nuclear weapons.
It's a very positive development, but we'll see whether or not it amounts to anything. We've had periods of time where we thought pretty much getting close to making a deal, and didn't work out, but this is a little bit different. Now, we're ready going tomorrow, very big, and not something I wanted to do, but we have no choice because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
President Donald Trump said a breakthrough with Iran is likely to be achieved soon, either through a diplomatic deal or military action. Speaking at the White House on Tuesday, Trump said Iran must not be allowed to obtain nuclear weapons and added that a deal could be reached in the near future. He also said Iran is still has limited military capability to respond to U.S. strikes.
We will have to have a safe country. We have to have a great country. We have to make sure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. All of the things that you see me fighting for so hard. And it's always tough. You know, we're negotiating with Iran, and then you have the Democrats, I call them the Democrats, putting in a bill that Trump should immediately stop. You know how it is to negotiate with a country where you're beating them badly. They come to the table, they're begging to make a deal, because they're begging to make a deal. I hope we don't have to do the war, but we may have to give them another big hit. We may have to give them another big hit. I'm not sure yet. You'll know very soon.
Iran's state news agency IRNA reported that Tehran recently proposed a deal to the United States calling for sanctions relief, the release of frozen Iranian assets, and an end to the naval blockade on the country. According to Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi, the proposal also includes ending conflicts on all fronts, including Lebanon, withdrawing U.S. forces from areas near Iran, and paying compensation for war-related damages. And Iran's foreign ministry said U.S. statements about being ready to launch a large-scale attack at any moment portray threats as an opportunity for peace. In a post on X on Tuesday, Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi said Iran is united and prepared to face any military aggression, and that the country sees no meaning in surrender in the event of a confrontation. Pakistani sources expressed optimism about the possibility of a U.S.-Iran agreement. The New York Post reported Tuesday, citing Pakistani sources, that ongoing indirect talks between Washington and Tehran are expected to make progress, with prospects for tangible breakthroughs, despite the complexity of the issues under negotiation. Iran's military warned Tuesday that it could open new fronts against the United States if Washington resumes attacks on its territory. According to Iran's ISNA news agency, military spokesman Mohammad Akrami Nia said that if the enemy is reckless enough to launch another attack on Iran, the country would respond with new fronts, weapons, and tactics. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Iran will not back down from its demands in ongoing negotiations with the United States. In remarks reported Tuesday by Iranian media, Pezeshkian said he sees no logic in rejecting talks with Washington to end the war, stressing the need for rational dialogue to achieve rational responses. He also acknowledged that Iran is facing unprecedented pressure from war and sanctions, adding that efforts are underway to contain the economic impact. Algeria strongly condemned the attempted drone attack targeting Saudi Arabia. In a statement Monday, Algeria's foreign ministry described the attack as a blatant violation of Saudi Arabia's security, stability, sovereignty, and international law. Algeria also reaffirmed its full solidarity with the kingdom and support for all measures taken to protect its security and stability. Six Lebanese people were killed and others wounded Tuesday in Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon, alongside ongoing air and artillery attacks in several areas of the country. The Lebanese news agency reported that an Israeli airstrike hit a house in Kfar Sir, killing 4 people and injuring 2. It also said 2 others were killed in a separate strike targeting a motorcycle in Frun and a car near the municipality building in Haruf in Nabatiya district. At the same time, Israeli air raids hit the town of Shabiya in Tyre district, while artillery shelling continued the Araid Dabin area in Marja'iyun district. Israeli forces warned on Tuesday residents of 12 villages and towns in southern Lebanon to evacuate immediately ahead of planned strikes. They said the evacuation orders were issued due to what they described as Hezbollah violations of a ceasefire agreement, urging civilians to leave their homes right away. Lebanon's Hezbollah said its forces has targeted and destroyed an Iron Dome, a defense platform near Jal al-Alam site in southern Lebanon. In a statement Tuesday, the group said it struck the platform the Israeli site overlooking the Lebanese towns of Naqoura and Labuna in the western sector of southern Lebanon using a drone, which it claimed resulted in its complete destruction. Hezbollah said it carried out attacks on what it described as strategic Israeli positions in military gatherings in southern Lebanon and occupied Palestine. In the statement Tuesday, the group said it targeted a concentration of Israeli vehicles and troops west of Arab al-Aramsh in northern Israel, using a swarm of drones, claiming the operation achieved its objectives. It also said it struck strategic sites in Ras al-Naqoura maritime area with drone swarms, causing what it described as significant damage to Israeli equipment. And one Palestinian was killed after Israeli forces struck a civilian vehicle in Gaza City. Local sources said Tuesday that the strike hit a car near Palestine Tower on El Shuhada Street, west of Gaza City, killing at least one person and injuring others. Algeria's health minister expressed deep concern over the deteriorating health and humanitarian situation in Palestine and the occupied territories due to ongoing attacks affecting civilians' health facilities and medical staff. In remarks at the 79th session of the World Health Assembly in Geneva on Tuesday, he called for urgent protection measures in the region and unhindered access for humanitarian and medical aid.
Algeria reaffirms that the right to health is a fundamental and inalienable right, expresses its profound concern over the deteriorating health and humanitarian situation in the state of Palestine and the occupied territories due to the continuing attacks targeting civilians, health facilities, and medical staff, and calls for urgent protection and unimpeded access for humanitarian and medical aid.
Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune held a phone call Tuesday with his Chadian counterpart Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno. They discussed ongoing cooperation projects between the two countries and exchanges of ministerial delegations to follow up on their implementation, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune received Niger's Interior Minister Major General Mohamed Toumba and his delegation on Tuesday. The meeting included senior officials from both countries and focused on bilateral cooperation. Algeria was represented by several ministers and security officials, while Niger's delegation included top security, foreign affairs, agriculture, and energy officials. And after being received by President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Niger's Interior Minister Mohamed Toumba said his visit is aimed at following up on the outcomes of the Niger-Algeria Joint High Committee. He stressed the need for a permanent and regular monitoring mechanism to ensure the effective implementation of the committee's decisions.
This mission is part of the follow-up to the outcomes of the Algerian-Niger Joint High Commission. The President of the Republic of Niger and Head of State, General Abderrahman Tiani, visited Algeria, and upon his return, both countries agreed to convene the Joint High Commission. During this session, around 20 agreements were signed. The key issue, however, is not simply signing agreements, but ensuring the existence of a permanent and regular follow-up mechanism to secure the effective implementation of the decisions taken by this Joint High Commission. Accordingly, we have an international monitoring mechanism, and Algeria has a similar mechanism as well. In this way, delegations from both sides regularly exchange visits to assess the level of implementation.
Algeria's Interior Minister Saïd Sayoud received Niger's Interior Minister Mohamed Toumba and a senior delegation in Algiers on Tuesday. The Interior Ministry said the visit follows President Abdelmadjid Tebboun's instructions to strengthen ties between Algeria and Niger and enhance coordination, particularly in security cooperation in other shared areas of interest. Sayoud emphasized the strong fraternal relations between the two countries and Algeria's commitment to further development bilateral cooperation in a way that serves their common interest, highlighting the strategic nature of their partnership. Algeria's and Niger's delegations held expanded talks on strengthening cooperation in security, combating irregular migration, and developing border areas. They also discussed enhancing coordination in civil protection, training, and knowledge exchange, reflecting a shared commitment to further advancing bilateral relations. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune received the Khalifa General of the Tijaniya Faida in Senegal, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Mahi Ibrahim Naise, on Tuesday. According to the presidency, the meeting was attended on the Algerian side by senior officials, including the head of the General Inspection of State Services and Local Authorities, the Khalifa General of the Tijaniya Order in Algeria, and the presidential advisor in charge of religious affairs. The Senegalese delegation included several members of the Tijaniya Faida leadership, including Mohammed Khalifa Sheikh Ibrahim Niasse, Mohammed Mustafa Niasse, Mohammed Mekki Niasse, and Abdurrahman Ndao. Algeria's Army Chief General Saïd Shengriha said the National People's Army is determined to continue strengthening its military capabilities and improving operational readiness. In a statement from the Ministry of National Defense on Tuesday, Shengriha stressed during a working and inspection visit to the 5th Military Region that building military capacity depends on continuing combat training programs with discipline and rigor to ensure a strong and fully prepared defense system.
إننا مصممون في الجيش الوطني الشعبي.
We are determined with the People's National Army under the leadership of Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, and Minister of National Defense, to continue building our military capabilities and enhancing our operational readiness so that we may fully carry out our constitutional duties and enable ourselves to control the instruments of our security and defend our sovereignty and supreme interests. This can only be achieved by continuing to implement combat preparedness programs with seriousness and rigor in order to build a defense system based on high readiness, operational preparedness, and overall resilience. The surest path to achieving this readiness begins first and foremost, and in the firm conviction that every step we take professionally and every plan executed with precision will effectively contribute to building deterrent and decisive capability. True military superiority is not measured by the quality of weapons alone. It lies in the ability to endure, to possess tactical alternatives, and to attain a high level of operational readiness.
Algeria's health minister said in Geneva that Algeria remains firmly committed to international solidarity, health equity, and ensuring the right to health care for all without exception. In his speech at the 79th World Health Assembly, he stressed that current unprecedented health challenges require stronger global cooperation to accelerate universal health coverage, noting that Algeria has made significant progress in health indicators thanks to its long-standing policies.
In an international context marked by unprecedented health challenges, such as pandemics, geopolitical tensions, and climate emergencies, as well as disparities in access to health care, the policy adopted by Algeria has made it possible to achieve a notable improvement in health indicators by reaching an average life expectancy of 80 years old. meeting sustainable development goals related to maternal and child health, ensuring the country's pharmaceutical needs, and eliminating a number of infectious diseases. Algeria will continue to reform its health system by strengthening infrastructure, advancing digitalization, training human resources, and promoting community-based medicine, while laying special emphasis on prevention and preserving the free health care.
In other news, Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in Beijing on Tuesday for a two-day visit, where he is expected to hold talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping and attend a summit that could see around 40 cooperation agreements signed. The Kremlin said the discussions will focus on expanding economic ties, as well as regional and international issues. The visit coincides with the 25th anniversary of the 2001 China-Russia Friendship Treaty, with Moscow aiming to strengthen strategic coordination with Beijing. President Vladimir Putin said Russia's partnership with China is not directed against any third party, but aims to support stability and promote peace. In a video statement ahead of his upcoming visit, or his visit to China, Putin said Moscow and Beijing are confidently looking to the future and are actively developing cooperation in political, economic, defense, and humanitarian fields.
The close strategic partnership between Russia and China plays a major stabilizing role globally. Without allying against anyone, we seek peace and universal prosperity. It is in this spirit that Moscow and Beijing act in a coordinated manner to defend international law and the provisions of the UN Charter in their entirety, completeness, and interconnectedness.
And China's foreign ministry said Beijing and Russia are strategic and complementary partners working in coordination for a new era. Ahead of Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to China, spokesperson Gu Jiakun said the two leaders will exchange views on bilateral cooperation across various fields, as well as regional and international issues of mutual interest.
China welcomes President Putin's state visit to China. China and Russia are comprehensive strategic partners of coordination for a new era. During President Putin's visit, the two presidents will exchange views on bilateral relations, cooperation in various fields, and international and regional issues of mutual interest.
And at the Safex Exhibition Center in Algiers, North Africa's largest agricultural trade exhibition is witnessing a major transformation. The core focus is now industrial localization, transforming raw agricultural materials into high-value processed goods produced on Algerian soil. Marwa Boulaiwa has more details.
Reducing the import bill and relying on local production has long been a top priority for the Algerian state. To that end, authorities have launched a strategy centered on building strong value chains capable of lowering imports while converting raw materials into high-quality local products that can also compete in international markets through broad international partnerships.
We are really impressed with the local talent, what we have seen, and we have plans to how to optimize this talent. And we are trying to maximize the local contribution on the project in terms of contractor, in terms of employment.
This new shift in the Algerian economy has become particularly visible through major projects such as Bkhedmة Algeria, the joint Algerian-Qatari project valued at $3.5 billion, spans 117,000 hectares in the Adrar Desert and is being transformed into an integrated dairy production hub. The project has now entered its large-scale second phase, with contracts worth more than $600 million signed to complete 40% of the project by the end of this year.
This phase will foster our project execution, bringing the local contractors like GCB experience. We are basically integrating with the world best technology, with the best contractor, and with the local experience to fast track the project to achieve 40% as per the target of the phase 1 in this year.
According to specialists, the move toward local industrialization requires a massive influx of global expertise and intensive local integration. This has been reflected through the involvement of major Algerian national companies such as GCB, a leader in large-scale infrastructure projects, alongside contributions from major global technology firms. Among them is Valmont Industries, which is providing advanced water-saving irrigation networks. Plans are also underway for a major air logistics operation to transport 300,000 high-yield dairy cows via flights from 9 different American states.
The technology provider is Valmont. They are the best technology they're having in the irrigation system, which will be the best suited for the Adrar region. They have delivered similar projects, and with their expertise, we can achieve what we are looking for, the 50% of self-sufficiency on timely manner.
Once fully operational and with a herd expected to reach nearly 270,000 cattle, this integrated ecosystem is projected to cover up to 50% of Algeria's national demand for powdered milk. By anchoring the entire value chain locally, from southern agricultural fields to the final packaged product, Algeria is reshaping its agricultural model toward a future that is both self-sufficient and globally integrated.
And that's a wrap for your English newscast, but stay tuned. Coming up next is our TV program on the latest developments in the Middle East.